I didn't realize I'd already lost everything until there was nothing left to lose. 4 days. That's what the doctor said. 4 days until my body stops working. 4 days until I'm gone. And the strangest part, I'm not thinking about death. I'm thinking about all the things I never said. Everyone told me I lived a good life, responsible, strong, composed. But standing here now, staring at the end, I realize I spent my whole life doing one thing perfectly, staying silent when it mattered most. And the moment I understood what that cost me was 3 nights ago, alone in this hospital room, when I tried to remember the last time I told someone I loved them out loud. I couldn't. This isn't just my story. If you've ever swallowed words because they felt too vulnerable, if you've ever thought, I'll say it later, and never did, if you've ever confused emotional control with emotional strength, then you're walking the same path I did. And I need you to understand something before it's too late for you too. The things you don't say don't just disappear. They stay with you. And at the end, they're the heaviest thing you carry. Let me tell you what I believed. I believed that love was something you showed through action, not words. I believed that saying I'm proud of you out loud would make me seem soft. I believed that apologizing meant admitting weakness. I learned early that emotions were things you managed, not things you shared. You handle them privately. You stay composed. You don't let people see you crack. And for decades that worked. I was respected, reliable, the person people could count on, to stay calm when everything else fell apart. But here's the part nobody warns you about. That strength I built. It wasn't protecting me. It was building a wall between me and everyone I ever loved. And I didn't realize it until the wall was too high to climb back over. There was a night, maybe 15 years ago, when my son came to me after failing his first big exam. He sat across from me, shoulders slumped, eyes red, and I could see he was terrified I'd be disappointed. I wasn't. I was proud of him for trying, proud that he cared enough to be upset, but I didn't say that. Instead, I said, "You'll do better next time. Just study harder." He nodded, got up, left. And I told myself I was teaching him resilience, teaching him not to dwell on failure. What I was really teaching him was that his emotions weren't worth acknowledging. That moment, I thought I'd have 1,000 more chances to tell him what I really felt. I was wrong, but that wasn't the real mistake. It kept happening. My wife would look at me across the dinner table, silent, waiting, and I knew she wanted to hear that I still saw her, that I still loved her the way I did when we were young. I felt it. God, I felt it so deeply. But the words stayed locked inside my chest because saying them out loud felt like exposing something fragile, like admitting I needed her. So I'd smile, change the subject, assume she already knew. She didn't. There was the argument with my brother that I never apologized for. Not because I wasn't sorry, I was, but because apologizing felt like surrendering, like admitting I was wrong when I spent my whole life trying to be right. We stopped talking. Years passed, and I kept telling myself, one day I'll reach out, one day I'll fix it. There were birthdays where I wanted to call him, holidays where I'd think about showing up at his door, random Tuesday afternoons where a memory would hit me and I'd pull out my phone, his number right there, my thumb hovering over it, but I never pressed it, because in my mind, reaching out first meant I was the weaker one. It meant I was admitting fault. And I'd spent so long being the strong one, the composed one, that I didn't know how to be anything else. So the years kept passing and the distance kept growing, and I kept assuming there would always be more time. But here's what I didn't understand until 3 days ago. One day doesn't exist. It's a lie we tell ourselves to avoid feeling uncomfortable now. And this is the part that scared me the most. Lying here, I started making a list in my head. All the people I loved, all the moments I should have spoken, and I realized something that made my chest tighten. The silence wasn't an accident. It was a choice. Every single time I swallowed those words, I chose safety over truth. I chose composure over connection. I thought emotional restraint was maturity, but it wasn't maturity. It was fear, fear of looking weak, fear of being vulnerable, fear that if I opened up, something inside me would break and I wouldn't be able to put it back together. So I built my life around control. I controlled my tone, my expressions, my words. I became so good at managing my emotions that I forgot how to share them. And the people I loved, they never knew. They never knew how much I admired them, how often I thought about them, how deeply they mattered to me. Not because I didn't feel it, but because I was too afraid to let them see it. My daughter graduated college, and I sat in that audience watching her walk across the stage, and I felt this overwhelming pride that made my throat tight. I wanted to tell her that watching her succeed was one of the greatest moments of my life, that she'd become everything I hoped she would and more. But when we went to dinner afterward, I said, "Good job. Your mother and I are happy for you." Good job. That's all I gave her. And she smiled and said, "Thank you," and we moved on. But I can still see her face. The way she looked at me for just a second, like she was waiting for more, like she needed more. And I didn't give it to her, because I'd convinced myself that big emotions were supposed to stay inside, that expressing them would somehow cheapen them, that real love was quiet and understood, not loud and declared. I was wrong. And here's the part I wish someone had told me 40 years ago. The cost of silence isn't just that people don't hear you. It's that they fill the silence with their own story. When I never told my son I was proud of him, he didn't think, "Dad's just not expressive." He thought, "I'm not enough." When I never told my wife I loved her out loud, she didn't assume I felt it silently. She assumed I stopped feeling it altogether. When I never apologized to my brother, he didn't think, "He's stubborn." He thought, "I don't matter to him anymore." When I never told my daughter how proud I was, she didn't think, "Dad shows love differently." She thought, "Maybe I didn't do enough." The silence I thought was neutral wasn't neutral at all. It was a message, and the message was, "You're not worth the risk of me being vulnerable." That's what they heard, and I can't take it back. Because here's the thing about having 4 days left. There's no time to fix it. I can't call my son and tell him everything I should have said when he was 12, 16, 25. I can't sit with my wife and apologize for all the times I chose silence over honesty. I can't reach my brother and tell him that argument meant nothing compared to how much I missed him. I can't tell my daughter that she was always enough, that she was always more than enough. The window closed, and I'm the one who closed it. But you still have time, and that's why I need you to hear this. If there's someone in your life you love, tell them. Not because it's easy, not because it feels natural, but because one day it will be too late, and you'll be where I am now, staring at the ceiling, wishing you'd been brave enough to say it when it mattered. You think you have time. You think there will be a better moment, a less awkward moment, a moment when the words come easier. There won't be. The perfect moment doesn't exist. The only moment you have is now. And I know what you're thinking. But what if it's uncomfortable? What if they don't respond the way I hope? What if I look weak? Let me tell you something I learned too late. Vulnerability isn't weakness. It's the only honest thing we have. Strength isn't holding everything inside. Strength is having the courage to let people see what's real. I spent my whole life protecting myself from emotional exposure, and all I did was protect myself out of connection. The relationships I thought I was preserving with silence, they withered. The love I thought people understood without words, they never felt it. The pride, the gratitude, the apology I kept inside because I didn't want to seem soft, they're still inside, unspoken, useless. There was a moment, maybe 10 years ago, when my wife was sick. Nothing serious, just a bad flu that kept her in bed for a week. I took care of her, made her soup, brought her medicine, sat beside her. And one night, she looked at me with tired eyes and said, "Thank you for being here." And I wanted to say, "There's nowhere else I'd rather be." Taking care of you isn't a burden. It's a privilege. You're the reason I've been able to build any kind of life at all. But instead I said, "Of course, get some rest." And I left the room, because even then, even in that quiet, intimate moment, I couldn't let myself be vulnerable. I couldn't say what I felt. And now, lying here, I'd give anything to go back to that moment and just say it, to let her hear it, to let her know. But I can't. And this is what nobody tells you about the end. The things you don't say don't fade. They don't dissolve. They don't disappear. They accumulate. Every "I love you" you didn't say. Every "I'm proud of you" you held back. Every "I'm sorry" you postponed. They pile up inside you. And when you get to the end, when there's no more time to release them, they become the only thing you can think about. Not your accomplishments, not your successes, not the life you built, just the words you never said. I'm lying here and I can feel them, all of them, the weight of every unsaid sentence pressing against my chest. And it's heavier than anything I ever carried in my life. Because here's the truth. People don't need your perfection. They don't need your composure. They need your honesty. They need to know they mattered, that they were seen, that they were loved. And if you never tell them, they'll never know. You can't assume people feel your love through your actions alone. You can't assume people know you're proud of them because you show up. You can't assume an apology is unnecessary because time has passed. You have to say it out loud while you still can. And I know this sounds dramatic. I know you're thinking, I'm not dying, I have time. But here's what I didn't realize until it was too late. You don't lose the chance to speak when you're dying. You lose it every single day you choose silence. Every time you think, I'll tell them later. Every time you swallow the words because they feel too vulnerable. Every time you let fear decide what you say and don't say. That's the moment you lose the chance. I lost mine 1,000 times before I ever got sick. I just didn't realize it until there were no more chances left. So here's what I'm asking you. Don't wait for a deathbed to tell people what they mean to you. Don't wait for a tragedy to apologize. Don't wait for the right moment to say, I love you. The right moment is now, today, this week. Before life gets busy again, before fear talks you out of it, before you convince yourself it doesn't matter. It matters. It's the only thing that matters. I have 4 days left, and I'm spending them thinking about all the things I never said. You still have time. Don't waste it the way I did. Say the words. Let people know. Be vulnerable, because the silence you think is protecting you is the thing that will haunt you in the end. I can't change my story, but you still can.